Hi, I'm Martin Jarvis, and once again I want to welcome you to Listen. Success. Who doesn't want to be successful in life? Well, guess what? I have news for you. Most people don't want to be successful in life. I know that sounds kind of hard to believe, doesn't it? But it's not. If we think about it, it's sort of a subconscious issue. People have fears. What do we fear? What is the most primary fear that folks have in life? And when I say primary, I mean the basic fear. So we have other fears, but what's the basic fear that we have? The fear of failure. Whether it's in sports, whether it's in business, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in relationships, whether it's even asking somebody out on a date. Our most basic fear is the fear of failure. And there might be things that failure might create. Maybe we ridicule or just embarrassment. Those are probably the two primary effects. And so we need to address that today because if we recognize what our issue is, we have a better chance of overcoming it, okay? Because as many of you know, I've been putting programs out on this cable program for the past 16 years now. Almost 17 years. And all I put out is motivation, try to help. And I always put the programs as well on YouTube and Facebook. To make better our health, to encourage education and relationship, even spirituality, everything that would benefit, I put out here. And I don't preach theory, okay? Anything that I share is something that I have tried, that's been tried and tested by me. Now, if I have a hypothesis or a theory that hasn't been tried, I'm not going to put it out there as this is what you need to do. I'm only going to tell you what you need to do if I know that it works. Now for me, I'm going to be 64 this year. And for the past 13 or so years, I've done a 40-minute martial art cardio because I used to be a martial artist back in the day, so this worked for me. As well, I do 50 push-ups a day. I've been doing it for about the past year. Well, I do sit-ups. So I have, and I eat right. I eat right like every day that I work. So 5 and 6 times a week, I eat right from the time I get up in the morning to the time I get off of work. Okay? And so for health purposes, I can tell you and I can assure you these are the things you need to do. These are the things I do and they work. As well in education. Many of you know when Obama became president, I found out on my 50th birthday, November 11th. That's when it was announced that he had won the election. I decided that January, man. I went to Sinclair. I was decided this guy had a Harvard education. I had a high school diploma. I was motivated, man. I'm going to get an associate degree. I'm going to get a college degree just so I can say I have a degree. So I went to Sinclair to sign up to get an associate degree. 10 years later, I had an MBA. Okay. So I can tell you this. So I started school at Sinclair when I was 50, graduated from Sinclair, went on to Park University, got my bachelor's degree. After my bachelor's degree, earned my MBA. So when I was 60 years old, okay. So I can tell you, if you're younger than I was, if you're like in your 30s or in your mid-20s and you think it's too late because I'm working at McDonald's and I didn't take advantage, it's not too late. So I'm not preaching theory. I'm preaching experience. I started school just to get my associate degree, and I didn't stop. Now, the little side story I'll make real quick was when I went there, the counselor told me, a woman, she told me that I needed to take a parallel course to Wright State or to UD. And I'm like, what's that? She said, a parallel course, the purpose is, see, if you get an associate degree at a 2-year college, and then you decide you want to go on to further your education to a 4-year college like Wright State or UD, they're not going to accept all of the credits, all of the classes you took at the 2-year college. They're going to have a whole new set of courses that you're going to need to take. But if you go to UD or Wright State, they offer a parallel program. So they'll tell you, if you go to Sinclair College, a 2-year college, and take the courses they recommend, that when if you decide to go on to a 4-year college, that they will accept all of the classes that you took at St. Clair for your 2-year degree, because those are the classes that they recommended. I told the counselor, no, I don't want that. I'm not going to get any more further education. I just want a 2-year degree just so I can feel like I have a degree. She begged me, please do this. So finally, I just gave in to her, because she was bugging me so much. Okay, sure, I'm not going to need it, but yeah, I'll do it. Got my associate degree, and guess what? I wanted to get another. I kept on, earned my bachelor's degree. After that, guess what? I earned my MBA. Man, I'm sure glad I listened to that woman. I'm sure glad I listened to that counselor. So I'm just sharing with you that I can tell you, not just that I can tell you that you can get a degree, even a master's degree, within a certain. I mean, I was working full time. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm also doing this program. I'm a staff pastor in a local church. I got a lot of things going on, but it's doable, and I can assure you it's doable. And just like this that I just shared you, this little tidbit of taking a parallel course, I can share with you the tidbits on how to get there. I'm just saying that I've shared all this, the education, the health, the spirituality, the relationship, all this stuff, tidbits on how to make this actually happen. And very few people respond. Now, if I post a picture of my dog or my daughter's dog, Legend, running around the yard and playing in the snow, man, I'll get 60 thumbs up on that video. But when it comes to something, and to people who are obviously we have health issues. People who are obviously overweight. People obviously have diabetes potential and issues, cholesterol, heart issues, and high blood pressure, and all this stuff, man. And so, and that was my frustration, wondering why there's no response when I put out simple stuff to change your life, to make your life well. And then it hit me recently. It's the fear. It's the fear of failure. See, when you have a fear of failure, you're comfortable if you're not trying something. The uncomfortable feeling comes, the fear is exacerbated when you put your hand to do something. So if you never attempt to do anything, you don't have to deal with failure. And if you don't have to deal with failure, you won't have the fear of failure because you're not even attempting to try something in the first place. I'm telling you, that's a dismal place to be in life. Because that's living far, far below your potential. Now we look at the situation, this is an urban program. We look at the situation of black folks in America from our arrival here, and it's been pretty dismal. And I've described in other programs, and in one of the books I wrote, I think it's the book called To Be Black in America and Not Die. It's on Amazon. The generational PTSD is that we are suffering from trauma that has never been addressed generationally. And so we opt not to put our hand to do things that might seem challenging, that might seem to bring failure, that might seem to bring that type of disappointment. Because we've got enough disappointments. We've had enough disappointments in life. We're not really willing to set ourselves up for another potential failure. What I'm suggesting is that fear of failure is simply a figment of your imagination. But it is the thing that's keeping you. And how do you deal with your fears? How do you deal with not progressing and being fine with it? You get that buzz. So you're going to smoke some weed. Or you're going to drink some alcohol. Or you're going to do other things that are going to placate, that are going to satisfy your mind in a dismal place and not be too concerned about upward mobility in life, okay? And what I'm suggesting is that's not a good place to be. We need to find a way to defeat that, and that's why I'm here right now. Don't be that way. Man, I read a lot. You need to read more. Everyone, we all need to read more. No one reads enough. Even if they're just magazines, self-help magazines, just to be well, exercise magazines, mindfulness magazines, yoga, peaceful mind magazines, anything that you can, anything that will better yourself, to get you to recognize that there is a satisfaction outside of the shell that we have placed ourselves in, that sort of keeping us away from being hurt or keeping us away from feeling failure or pain, okay? You know, I'm a student of Sun Tzu, The Art of War. I have been for probably 40 years now. I mean, I am a real student, where I don't know how many times I've read The Art of War. Has to be more than 70 times, I'm sure. I mean, I know it, okay? And so, and to the point where I live it, where I don't have to think about it. I just respond. I live it. And sometimes if I think in retrospect over actions I've taken or attitudes and perspectives I had about particular things, I recognize that's Sun Tzu speaking through me, okay? And you know, Sun Tzu's conversation is usually talking about battle, okay? But you can apply that battle, you know, to the competitions that we involve ourselves in for a younger person, whether it be sports or whether it's an individual in business, in the workplace, or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, relationships. Is that your success is going to be determined by your preparation. Now that right there might seem like a duh moment. Of course it is. Of course it is. But it's in contrast to who you're in competition against. Okay, that you don't assume that your competition is not going to show up that day. Okay, is not going to show up for battle, or is going to exhibit certain weaknesses, you know, in the battle or in the competition. You can't count on the flaws of your enemy manifesting, okay? The only thing that you can count on is your preparation, your readiness, your training, okay? And I think we talked about that in the last program when we were talking about success or personal healing or whatever, that your confidence is in your preparation, how well you are. You have to have confidence. You have to know you're going to succeed. You're going to come out on top. And it's not just, well, I just believe I'm going to come out on top. It's not just saying this. There's no magic words to that. It's that you are believing that you're going to come out on top because you know and you put the time into it, okay? So we're talking about success in life. Now, we've got this whole thing now about legalizing weed and everything. Now I know a little bit about that from my years ago. And I'm just suggesting that's a terrible thing, you know? Because weed and alcohol are just placators to giving us a satisfaction of the situation that we're already in. It doesn't give us any motivation to excel our situation. Now, you've heard the old, I think it was a communist saying that religion is an opiate of the masses, right? What's an opiate? Opiate is a drug. It's a drug like weed or opium or something that keeps you placated, keeps you satisfied. Well, if you think about it, it wasn't really talking about opiates. It was talking about the religion. They were saying that religion will keep a person's mind in a place where they're easily controlled, that they're not really moved to progress or to better themselves. And so the comparison in that analogy was the religion to opiates. So it was an obvious given that opiates placated the mind, that opiates kept people from trying to move up, to better themselves. If religion is an opiate of the masses, then the thing that religion is being compared to in that statement is the opiate. The opiate is the thing that is detrimental to an individual's upward movement, an individual's progression. So we don't want to get caught up in the opiates. And then I want to put the alcohol in that same classification because the effects are the same, okay? And what's interesting is it's almost like whatever your situation is, whatever your seemingly dismal situation is, it takes a necessary, clear, and sober mind to determine the way out of that situation. But what the opiate does is it just satisfies you in that. It's all cool, man, and it's not that big a deal. And there is no progression. There is no upward progression. You know, there's an old story. Well, it's a Japanese samurai proverb that there are three treasures. One treasure is the sword. Another treasure is the jewel. And the other treasure is the mirror. The sword, the jewel, and the mirror. And they were treasures. They were very, very important because the jewel, of course, symbolized money, which is very necessary for power And even for survival is to have money. Money is required. And as well, a very important treasure would be the sword, because the sword keeps you alive, able to defend yourself, able to keep your money, keep your hands on your money, even allows you to acquire money. So the jewel and the money are two important artifacts. But the most important treasure of them all was the mirror. The mirror was the most important treasure to the samurai warrior. Why? Because the mirror allowed you to see yourself, allowed you to recognize who you really are. And in that seeing, in that understanding of yourself, it allowed you to recognize what was important, what wasn't important to you. Know what to fight for, what not to fight for. How to acquire this, how to acquire that. So the jewel was important, of course. The sword was important. But the most important treasure was that mirror. Because without the mirror, you wouldn't know who you were. And I want to piggyback, and that was it. But I want to piggyback on that particular proverb to add a particular aspect of the mirror that wasn't addressed by its old Japanese idiom. Was that with that mirror, you could see who's behind you. With the mirror, you're looking in a mirror, if you look over your shoulder, you can see what's behind you. See what's behind you. Is it a friend? Is it a foe? Is it an enemy? Is it a help? The mirror allows you to see what's going on behind your back. The mirror also allows you then to get a sense of your strengths as well your weaknesses. Allows you to recognize, what you need work on. The mirror also allows you to check yourself. I remember back in the day, when I was drinking a lot, I'd be in nightclubs every night of the week. And sometimes I'd be drinking so much that I'd start to get paranoid. What do I look like? Do I look crazy? Is everybody looking at me? And I'd have to excuse myself and go to the bathroom and look in the mirror. And then I'd see myself and, yeah, he's cool, I'm okay. It took me to go to the bath, even when I was feeling all out of it and scared and self-conscious and all this, I'd go to the bathroom and look at myself like, oh, okay, you're all right. So the mirror in a sober mindset will allow you to check yourself. And remind yourself that you're okay. Remind yourself of your goal. Remind yourself of your purpose. The mirror, when you look at yourself, you remember, oh, okay. Check yourself. Keep you on course. So the mirror then is a symbol of continuously making sure that you are all right. So you're in premium condition to handle your business. Remember the mirror. And I think another very important tool in competition, whatever kind of competition you're in, whether it's sports, whether it's business, whether it's your job and promotions, is first of all to be sure of your success. And again, like Sun Tzu said, make sure you're prepared. Make sure you're very prepared. Your training, your preparation, so your confidence is within your ability, and you're going to be successful. Okay. And so when you're going into competition, in whatever arena, you're going to win. And if you don't win, whatever you lose by, your opponent or your competition for this position, for this job, or whatever it is, study your opponent. Understand what it was that beat you, how they were better than you, what was it in their arsenal that allowed them to have victory over you, and appropriate that for yourself. So if my daughter's playing lacrosse, and they lose to a team, and she knows she's going to win, but she loses to a team, well, you were there. What'd they do? Maybe they're passing. They had a great passing game. They could throw straight and hard, and their teammate would catch it, wouldn't fumble it, wouldn't drop it. You know, that was their strength. That was their strength. So now you know when you go back into practice, that's what you're going. You don't have to practice what you already know. Practice what you saw beat you. Practice what you saw and perfect it, whatever it was. I remember years ago, my son, who's a man now, a professional man doing his thing after college and all, but when he was probably about, 15 or so years old, he played baseball for Chaminade. And I remember we were at the batting cages, and I'm standing there, you know, outside the cages. He's in there swinging that bat, and if he'd miss, you know, I'd say, Martin, you swung too fast. Or Martin, you swung too late. Martin, you swung too high. I'd be there, correct him. Finally, he just stopped, took off his helmet, walked over to me and said, Dad, I'm standing right there. I see. When I miss it, I know what I did. I was like, oh, okay. And he's right. Because he was working on it. He'd recognize what he did, and he would adjust, and he was in that process of trying to get it together. I'm sitting there telling him to look at this, look at that. He's saying, Dad, I'm already looking at it. What I'm telling you is make sure you look at it. Make sure you see what beats you. And whatever beats you, appropriate that to be the newest part of your arsenal. For real. And I think the most important, because we want to be successful in life, but we got to recognize our phobias, our fears, recognize the issues that we have that date way back, you know, from before we were even born. I think the most crucial in all this, and all this is probably really contained in it, is continue learning. Never stop learning. Never stop studying. That's when you discover these things. This thing that I shared with you early on about, you know, not having the fear of failure, acquiescing to your situation, because if you don't try, you won't fail and all that stuff. Man, I was studying this particular concept in a particular study of psychology yesterday. That's when I read that, okay? Yesterday, never stop learning. There were aha moments for me, even as I was studying, aha moments that I recognized other people in my life that you know, I might not have patience with, but recognize they're just going through a particular thing right now. So never stop studying, continually reading, continuous. Read The Art of War. And that right there will change your life. I mean, when I say read it, I mean read it about 20 times. like this psychology concept. It's an audio book that somebody turned me on to yesterday, or the day before yesterday. And so because I was at work, so I was just listening to it. I listened to a couple hours of it. It's pretty good. It's about 6 hours or so long. And once I get through, I'm going to listen to it maybe 2 or 3 more times just to get it. And not that I'm going to buy into everything that this particular philosophy believes, but just to have an understanding of it. And maybe I can improve upon it, or maybe I can embrace it, or maybe I can reject it, or whatever. But just keep learning. There's so much knowledge out there. I mean, you know, there's a lot of negativity in our society. And especially, you know, social media can be a very terrible thing, used to exploit people, exploit your time, you know, and it can be a very negative thing, but as well it can be a very positive thing. Because you have all the libraries of the entire world at your fingertips, all the knowledge, all the insight, I learned that when I was working, you know, when I was in college. You know, we were doing research papers for my graduates. We were doing research papers like every day. And having to use those references, I began to recognize how much information is out there. There's nothing that you can't learn, you know, from the internet. So we have the tools to learn. Never stop learning. Never stop learning. You know, part of the learning is, you know, before I went to college, and again, I had a high school diploma from like 1976 all the way up until, you know, about 13 or so years ago when I started attending school. And I was the guy that always believed, well, a college degree wasn't all that much. It's just, you know, it's just something that somebody did and blah, blah, blah. No, they're no different person and all that. But what I realized was that was simply the perspective of a person who didn't have an education, who didn't have an advanced education. And what I've realized through the course of while I was in the process of and after receiving my education was that my worldview was expanded. That the way I saw things, the way I saw life, the way I saw other people, it changed. I changed. Okay? And so what I see in college, a lot of times, when I was in the military, I enlisted when I was 17 years old. But all the officers and commanders and the people that were really in charge, they all had college degrees, But you know what their college degrees were in? It didn't matter. As long as you had a college degree and then you go to officers training school, it was like a 90-day officers training school, you came out as second lieutenant. You were an officer. When I was overseas and I was in Japan, my squadron commander, his degree was in zoology. Well, maybe that was appropriate because we were kind of young Eric. I don't know. But the point is, what the education did, what the military recognized, and what I recognize as well, is that unless you have a specialty, like maybe you're a rocket scientist or biologist, botanist, something that requires a particular skill, technical. A real technical particular skill. What your degree shows that you have problem-solving skills. Okay. Come on now. How are you going to get through this degree in 4 years or 5 years? How are you going to pay for your degree? Man, when I was in my graduate studies, you couldn't get a grade lower than a B in any course. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But I did it. Problem-solving skills, okay? So getting that degree it changes an individual, okay? And expands your mind, expands your worldview. So what I'm suggesting is that continue learning. Even if you don't have the money or the finances to formally go to school, man, before I ever even went to Sinclair College, I was studying physics at MIT on YouTube for free. I wasn't getting any credit for it, and half of it I wasn't even understanding, but I was trying. I studied many courses, much knowledge, many books. Audible.com. I have like over 200 titles. As well, YouTube. Listen to lectures, listen to speeches, listen to talks. People that are selling their books as they talk about their books. Increase your worldview on every topic, any topic. You change, you grow. That's the key to success. Key to success is that you're going into competition with people. You need that edge, a worldview and insight. And as you begin studying, as you begin matriculating, you begin to realize how important education is. Education in every area, man. I study from health, from philosophy, from psychology, the Vietnam War, the CIA, the other nations, world conflicts and world leaders and anything you could think of. Just study something. Add to your arsenal, your mental arsenal. Learn something that you didn't know before. And I'm learning Arabic. I'm learning Arabic simply to learn something else. Expand yourself, and everything that you learn changes you. That will add to your arsenal and your path to success in life. And even better than that. Now for me personally, when I earned my MBA, I was 60 years old. And I already had a good job. I was making good money. My life is great. But my children coming up. My daughter was 3 years old when I started Sinclair College. And she was 13 when I earned my MBA. Imagine the impact of that education had on her. Your kids are watching. Look, my son he runs those Reebok challenges on his off time, for his fun every so often. And he says it takes him about 3 months and he can get cut really strong. And but he said, he's been involved, he's been working, he's been doing other things, for the past couple of years, and he kind of isn't working out like he should, like he used to. But I'm working out all the time. And I post on Facebook probably every other day, right after a workout, where I'm sweating, I'm standing there, and I'm encouraging folks for their health and all. And so I'm not even talking to my son about my workout, but of course we're Facebook and Instagram friends. And so just about 3 days ago, I'm talking to him on the phone, and he's saying, Dad, I was trying on some of my old clothes the other day, and it's looking kind of loose. I think I'm going to get back into the gym. Now I'm wondering, was it because I've been posting, even if it's subconscious, he's seeing his dad do this stuff? And he's like 33 years old now. Maybe. So the added incentive to be successful, to put your hand to do the things that you haven't done, to improve yourself in any way you can, is that young people are watching you. And like for me, it's not even practical to use my MBA at this time for some kind of job or, but it still has a practical use as an inspiration, as a motivation, as an example to your children, to your grandchildren, everything that you do. So don't think because, my life is over. No, there are young people watching you that could take the advice from your experience and climb the higher levels than you ever dreamed of for your own life. Oh, man. Your success is very important in more ways than you can believe. So just consider this, okay? Well, I do want to thank you for taking the time to listen. And I want to invite you to listen again. You take care. Bye.